is set to announce a new law which will require social media bosses to face prosecution if they breach their duty of care. The Guardian leading with a story about new figures showing more than 4,000 allegations of child sexual abuse since 2014 have led to guilty verdicts. The Sun says town halls up and down the country have been ordered to fly the Union flag to mark Prince Andrew's birthday. The Financial Times leading with a boardroom power struggle at the Credit Suisse Bank. So Andrew and Kevin are here, and I know you want to start with the failure to convict President Trump in the Senate.
That's right. Down party lines, with one exception, the noble exception of Mitt Romney, the Republican senator who voted for impeachment. He won 52-48, 47 Democrats plus Romney, 52 Republicans went down party lines, and he looks smug. He's always smug. Now he's going to claim it as a great victory, but I think it's a hollow victory, because the Democrats had no alternative but to go after him. I know Nancy Pelosi, the speaker, and I know what you're going to say in a moment about our faces. I know, because you always do. Several. But she was reluctant. But you cannot allow such behaviour by a president to be normal when he is effectively misusing and abusing office to put pressure on a foreign power to go after his political opponents. It is just totally unacceptable. Yes, he's kind of cleared and he's got away with a vote, but I think a lot of Americans will resent what he did.
I just had a statement actually from the White House press secretary. Mr. Trump, we are told, will not be speaking until tomorrow. But his press secretary has said in a statement that the impeachment process was a witch hunt based on a series of lies. Today, the sham impeachment attempt concocted by Democrats ended in the full vindication and exoneration of President Donald J. Trump. As we've said all along, he is not guilty.
And the thing, he is impeached. That can't be taken away. He's impeached. But the trial didn't go ahead. The Democrats miscalculated. They thought there were going to be more Republicans would defect and vote with them. And at the end, he has the last word, because he will just portray this as another attempt by the swaggering, arrogant metropolitan elite on Capitol Hill to bring down the president who speaks to the ordinary people. And nothing will prove his case more than the ludicrous behaviour of that ghastly woman, Pelosi, in dramatically and theatrically ripping up his speech. Now, he didn't
in the State of the Union address,
He didn't shake her hand, but you had to blink to see it, because he didn't make it too pointed. But the way she ripped up that speech...
Her face made it pointed, though, didn't
Which one of the faces? Because she's had so many face lifts. And so many face lifts that when I've tried to work out how many do you think, check, how many do you think she's had, Kevin?
Too many.
But I mean, look. I mean, pathetic woman. Pathetic.
You got to remember,
she's the most powerful woman in the United States, and that is the worst sort of gesture politics.
I think it was a manifesto of lies, she said, to explain her actions.
I still think it was an error. She could have
terrible.
She could have, shaken her head, put it down, showed a dignity that Trump lacked.
Look at the
Now, of course, he abuses her and everybody else all the time, and he's very thin-skinned.
Look at her face.
When it comes,
she's getting.
But I can't really move her face. Actually.
No, she can't. She is ridiculous.
Yeah, but
trying to be pensioned off.
But you got to remember, though, that.
But he is claiming that the economy is at record levels. I mean, all of those have been fact-checked, or many of those points have been fact-checked to be
inaccurate.
Yeah,
because there was faster economic growth and jobs in 2-3 year periods under Obama. He said the biggest ever tax cuts was about.
He is ridiculous.
Yeah, but
trying to be pensioned off.
But you got to remember, though, that.
But he is claiming that the economy is at record levels. I mean, all of those have been fact-checked, or many of those points have been fact-checked to be
inaccurate.
Yeah,
because there was faster economic growth and jobs in 2-3 year periods under Obama. He said the biggest ever tax cuts was about a third of Ronald Reagan's in the early 80s. No, but of course, he is a serial liar. Is it 16,000 times?
Why is she not allowed to express her disgust at his serial lies?
She is.
She's supposed to be dignified. God, I thought we had problems with that ghastly Burqa. I don't think even Burqa would have done that. Actually,
I would think that sometimes it's better to take a slightly higher moral ground. Get on the moral molehill.
Trying to depict this man as a dishonest, lying vulgarity, and she just descends into the gutter.
So back to the impeachment there. Yeah. It's clearly failed, and it was always going to fail because the numbers were not in the Senate.
Well, the Democrats thought they might get a few more.
Well, Mitt Romney voted with the Democrats on one.
They only needed 2 more, and they'd have been there.
The point is, if you cannot convict the president because it's a partisan system, it's a sham system.
Of course it is.
Isn't that the point?
Yeah, but the sham isn't the Democrats going for him and Mitt Romney. The sham is the Republicans just ignoring all the evidence and siding by him. But at the same time, it's the system they have. And when it's the system you have, and it's clearly acted badly,
the Chief
but
Justice.
then you can't just ignore it.
How much damage is it going to do to him? Because when you consider when Bill Clinton left the White House, his personal approval ratings were among the highest on record. He's still regarded and revered as one of the most popular, successful presidents. He was impeached for lying about sex with a very young intern.
And
I can still remember when that man came to the Labour Party conference and all the Labour sisterhood cheering him and saluting him. I thought,
no, that's right.
This is a guy who abused a young girl. He was impeached. He left with his popularity sky high. That's why I think Trump wins this.
Yes, so just one final thought, looking at the partial results we have from Iowa, the first of the caucuses and primaries.
They've done well on that, haven't they, the Democrats? Can't even count their votes.
Yeah, you know what might be more worrying down the line isn't the fact that it was messed up the county, which it was, very low turnout. So the Democrats aren't exciting their members.
But the point I was going to say is that Joe Biden looks like he was coming in fourth place with the partial counting. Has the damage already been done by President Trump suggesting these issues of corruption
It's why he did
and his son?
Because some of the mud about his son stuck, and they'll think the father knew all about it. The mud was always going to stick. It was a careful calculation.
Yeah, but Bernie Sanders will be a better candidate. Bernie Sanders will be a formidable candidate.
I tell you what,
against
Boris
Trump.
Johnson should have a chat with them about that because we had a Bernie Sanders in Britain who was called Jeremy Corbyn. That went well, Kevin.
Bernie Sanders is a far better campaigner, and he puts his socialism in very practical terms. Everybody should have health care. Everybody should be able to go to college. Everybody who works should earn a living wage. It's what America's crying out for.
We've got lots to pack in, so let's move on to your paper, the Daily Mail, The Fugitive, tracked down by the Mail.
And the words that there, I'm glad the Mail have used these words. Look, this woman is dreadful. If she'd only stayed here and faced justice, there would have been a court case,
She may have been told to leave, of course, remember.
Well, remember, the American authorities helped get her out. She left on a US Air Force plane. But this woman should have stayed. She would not have had a prison sentence. Nobody thinks she killed that boy deliberately. She's on the wrong side of the road. She wouldn't be the first foreign person in another country to drive on the wrong side of the road. Now she's a fugitive from justice. In the unlikely event she ever comes back, she'd have to go to prison. But look at the irony. She's driving her children on the school run. And she killed that little boy, that 18-year-old, while her child was in the car with her.
So let's move on to the Metro swap Duke for killer driver. This news conference in New York.
This is lawyers for some of Prince Andrew's alleged victims. So,
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew has, as the FBI would like to.
They're not Jeffrey Epstein's alleged victims.
Yeah, well, they are his victims, yeah.
Okay.
But they want to but the FBI want to speak to Prince Andrew. He claims to cooperate. They claim not. And there is this suggestion now from Epstein's victims' lawyers do a swap. Secula's come over here.
It's not going to happen because they're unrelated cases.
They are related, but it's quite neat, really, because Prince Andrew should be on a plane to the States to answer questions, and she should be on a plane to the UK to face charges.
I think Prince Andrew could quite easily answer questions to the FBI in Britain.
Yeah. To the Sun.
Could have a home visit to the FBI and the palace. I quite like that idea.
The Sun, Union Town Hall flags to fly for Andrew's birthday.
Apparently, a memo has gone out from government telling councils on February the 19th when Prince Andrew shamed Prince Andrew, sacked Prince Andrew is 60, that flags should be flown from town halls. But if they're flown, they should be flown at half-mast for the disgrace that he's heaped on his family and the country.
He was a big party, wasn't he? Wasn't that the original
The Queen
plan?
was going to throw him a party, but that's now been cancelled. And, of course, the ongoing, when will the daughter, the second daughter, Beatrice, the one who wore the terrible hat, when will she get married? That wedding, we think now, isn't going to happen at Windsor Castle.
No.
It's going to be much more low-key.
But they're going to have a do in Bookhouse, which, of course, has been done for $69 million money.
Which hat?
The one at the wedding, William and
Which
Kate's
one?
wedding.
Which
Do you
one?
remember it sort of appeared above the Queen like something out of the Mad Hatter's Tea Party?
I'll have to look it up.
No, actually, no, I don't remember that at all.
I do, actually.
Why are you obsessed about her hat?
There was much talk
That
about
sounds a bit
that.
weird.
I think Fergie helped
Is
with
that,
the outfit.
have you got an unnatural
Explain a
obsession
lot.
with a hat or something?
Explain
Have
this.
you?
If you remember the hat, you'd be obsessed.
Well, you know, dear.
Move on, shall we, to Cameron. I won't come in from the cold for the UN climate.
What about for his passport?
What I like-
He carry his own passport now.
I think
That copper who
had a
had
gun.
a gun in the loo on the plane also had Karen's passport. What happens when they enter become president? Do they become completely babyfied? They can't do anything on their own.
Actually, I think Dave's been babyfied for years. But it's very interesting now that Johnson tried Cameron, tried William Hague to get them to run the environment. Yeah, the environment. The Green Conference is going to be in Glasgow. Both turned him down. Now, they sacked Claire O'Neill, who was Claire Perry, who was a minister. Who's going to get now? But you would have thought Johnson would have more pulling power, but it seems his old Etonian mate here just doesn't want anything to do with him now.
And I think they are determined to make a big show of it. So he is looking for a big name. And of course, the Prime Minister has a partner in Carrie Simons who's big on the environment. That's her cause.
But if you want a success,
campaigns.
why would you have the worst Prime Minister in the post-war period, given that he lost Europe
He
in the
didn't ask
referendum?
Gordon Brown,
With
did
whom
he?
you had a
He didn't ask Gordon Brown.
Well, no, I always called him out. I always called him out as he was.
I didn't know he'd ask Gordon Brown.
Yeah,
Worst
you-
Prime Minister
you
of the post-war
know.
period.
Suggestion?
This one.
Would Blair do it? I'd be quite interested, actually, if Blair's has, but they probably can't afford him, actually. He's probably got a very high day rate.
Kevin says he was the worst Prime Minister. He at least won a general
He
election.
was, you know,
Gordon didn't win an election.
losing that referendum. He was worse than Alec Douglas-Hume or Anthony Eden, even.
He won the election.
Theresa May was
2010,
pretty bad.
won Parliament. He won in 2015 with an overwhelming majority.
Well, he
I think
doesn't
that
agree
makes
that
Gordon.
his
really.
agenda was bad.
But, you know.
Right, we need to move on. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Concerns, coming up next, concerns over the early release of terrorists following the Streatham attack. More detail on that after this break. This evening, Andrew Pearce and Kevin Maguire. Let's go to one of our main stories as well tonight. It's in the Daily Telegraph. This race to bring in emergency laws to prevent specific terror convicts being released.
Yeah, look, the government want to end automatic release halfway through. They want to change it to a review 2/3 into the sentence. It will be reviewed by a beefed-up parole board, and it could be. And they want to apply it retrospectively. Now that's upset the Human Rights Brigade, of course, because there's a human rights.
You've got to have a system, don't you? In law.
The terrorists have got to have their human rights of stuff that.
got to have a system in law.
Stuff that. We don't want that. We want these men who are dangerous to be kept in prison for as long as possible. So they want to try and rush this legislation through the Commons as quickly as possible, and the laws where it will get into difficulty.
Yeah, but the reason it's got to be passed by February the 27th is on the 28th. Mohammed Zahir Khan, a Sunderland shopkeeper, jailed 4.5 years, encouraging terrorism, is due to be released.
Yeah.
Now he will be hoping it doesn't come on. Otherwise, he's going to have to serve, I suppose, another year, thereabouts. And then you will be looked at by the parole board, which I've never understood automatic early release. If you earn it with good behaviour. Or you...
Well, it was
certainly in cases of... Yeah,
population. That's why they
it
did
was.
Who brought it in then?
Labour and the Tories,
It was cut. It used to be 2/3 in general, and then it was cut to half. Now I'm all for people, if they in prison they tackle problems and you want to encourage good behaviour and people to change. That's all good. So you earn it, but I've never understood why.
But the Tories have had
automatic.
Since 2015, they had between 2015 and 2017. I don't think they could have changed it under the coalition because the Lib Dems would never have agreed to it. But the Tories had 2 years to try and change. Could have changed it then.
Okay.
And now they're rushing to change it.
Yes. Well,
The clock's ticking.
But unless you change,
220 of these.
But unless you change the terrorist in prison or the terrorist changes, you're just going to put somebody out dangerous just a little bit later.
Yeah.
being introduced next week, we understand, isn't it?
Yes.
The emergency
Yeah.
powers, or the bill. Let's move on to the MP who wore that off-the-shoulder dress and has made quite a stir because of it.
Has she been disco dancing?
You know, but the truth is, right, it's the angle, the camera angle down. If you were in the House of Commons, you wouldn't have noticed it.
Well, there's another shot of it.
Yeah.
Different camera.
No, she's walked, yeah. But, yeah, all right, fair point, well made. I'll take that back.
Yeah, I know.
But she is, but the abuse she's got is ridiculous. I remember Jackie Smith, the first woman who was a Home Secretary, people banging on about her cleavage when she debuted at the Dispatch.
It was extensive.
But look, it was,
Well, that's what people were writing.
Yeah, but I mean, look.
I think you may find I may have written it myself.
Look, no, well, funny enough, I'm not entirely surprised by that you didn't go for the politics or what she was saying, but how she looked.
I mean, I like Jackson very much.
But she says, Tracy Brabin says she wasn't expecting to be in the Commons, so that's why she had the dress on. Although, once she is, I mean, some of the abuse is just sick and
Are there specific rules though, about what you can wear in the chamber?
Yes.
Which is
they're pretty lax actually. Like there was one Brighton MP. He had red trousers on. He was never going to get called to speak, for instance. But you don't have to wear a tie now. At one time he did. That's been changed.
right.
But I don't know why she just didn't borrow a cardigan or a jumper.
Well,
That would have been a lot easier.
Does it really look? She was in order. That's why she was caught. Lindsay Hoyle is considered to be something of a traditionalist.
Yeah.
If it was indeed Lindsay in the,
I don't know if it was
in the chair, she was called to speak. But it is like all the pervs who just go on and on about it.
If she hadn't been a former soap star, would it have got such coverage?
Maybe not.
Probably not.
But I tell you what was also the reason it got good coverage too was because of her response. Because she said, "I don't have time to reply to you, but I confirm I'm not a slag, hungover, a tar, a slapper, drunk, or just been banged over a wheelie bin." I mean, that's a pretty earthy response.
Let's move on to the Mirror.
Moving quickly, but there we are. It's too late now.
There we go. The Queen paid off my mortgage for saving Princess Anne's life. You better.
Was because of her response, because she said, "I don't have time to reply to you, but I confirm I'm not a slag, hungover, a tar, a slapper, drunk, or just been banged over a wheelie bin." I mean, that's a pretty earthy response.
Let's move on to the Mirror.
Moving quickly, but there we are. It's too late now.
There we go. The Queen paid off my mortgage for saving Princess Anne's life. You better explain this.
This is quite nice. It's amazing to go back to 1974 when a gunman, Ian Bell, tried to kidnap and hold to ransom Princess Anne. There was this guy, Ronnie Russell.
A lot of our viewers won't remember any of that incident.
No, well, all right. And the police bodyguard got shot 3 times. Yeah. She refused to get out the car to tell the gunman where to go. Yeah, but this guy, Ronnie Bell, who's on the right circle, standing on the right, he turned up. Boxer, used to go to the gym where the Craze trained. Hit the bloke a few times, and now we know the Queen paid off his mortgage, but he's having to sell his George Medal for bravery because he wants to cover his funeral.
It's a terrific story, and we didn't know the Queen paid the mortgage off.
Yeah.
And I met the protection officer when Lord Ashcroft did something at the Imperial War Museum where there's a lot of VC medals, and he still sees Princess Anne.
Well, amazing. Okay, we'll maybe do that one again in 11:30 with a bit
nice
more
story.
time to fully explain.
But
220 of these.
But unless you change the terrorist in prison or the terrorist changes, you're just going to put somebody out dangerous just a little bit later.
Yeah.
Being introduced next week, we understand, isn't it?
Yes.
The emergency
Yeah.
powers or the bill. Let's move on to the MP who wore that off-the-shoulder dress and has made quite a stir because of it.
Has she been disco dancing?
But the truth is, right, it's the angle, the camera angle down. If you were in the House of Commons, you wouldn't have noticed it.
Well, there's another shot of it.
Yeah.
A different camera.
No, she's walked. Yeah, but all right. Fair point, well made. I take that back.
Yeah, I know.
But she is. But the abuse she's got is ridiculous. I remember Jackie Smith, the first woman who was a Home Secretary. People banging on about her cleavage when she debuted at the Dispatch.
It was extensive.
But look, it was.
Well, that's what people were writing.
Yeah, but look.
I think you may find I may have written it myself.
Funny enough, I'm not entirely surprised by. It was.
Well, that's what people.
Who was a Home Secretary. People banging on about her cleavage when she debuted at the Dispatch.
It was extensive.
But look, it was.
Well, that's what people were writing.
Yeah, but look.
I think you may find I may have written it myself.
It was
extensive.
But look, it was.
Well, that's what people were writing.
Yeah, but look.
I think you may find I may have written it myself.
Funny enough, I'm not entirely surprised by that you didn't go for the politics or what she was saying, but how she looked.
I mean, I like Jackson very much.
But she says, Tracy Brabin says she wasn't expecting to be in the Commons, so that's why she had the dress on. Although, once she is, I mean, some of the abuse is just